This Christmas, the doctor is thrown together with a cheery yet lonely hotel guest with a connection to a mysterious briefcase. Welcome, friends and companions. How are you today? Today we have a 15th Doctor story called Joy to the World. How is this live stream built up? First, some general info, then the plot. Then I mention some cast members. Then I do the world building and also some notes, interesting notes. Then we have some things in the continuity because every story is influenced by another story and vice versa. I will explain some things about the main enemy in this story called Villain Guard and the main setting, the Time Hotel. So let's go then. Um, Joy to the World is the 2024 Christmas special, and it is premiered in 25th of December 2024, of course. Um, as well as being the ninth Christmas special written by Steve Moffat, it is the first not written by the current showrunner since Russell T. Davies was too busy writing series 15 slash season 2 to write a Christmas special as well. Is Nkuti Gatwa's second Christmas special as the Doctor, and features Nicola Coughlan and Steph Diwali as the Doctor's companions for the story, Joe Amendo and Anita Ben. While shown with Joy and Anita as his companions, the story continues on from the series 14 finale, Empire of Death, and sees the Doctor initially struggling to be alone during Christmas after parting the ways with Ruby Sunday, who makes a brief appearance near the end of the story. Notably, the end of to the World, where the Doctor witnesses Joy becoming the star that guides the three wise men to Bethlehem, confirms that biblical events exist in Doctor Who in tandem with the science fiction nature of the series. So that's some general info. Let's go. That's some general info. Yeah, okay, that's good. All right. We go into the plot. And during the analysis of the plot, I will step away to the explaining about the main enemy villain guard, and then go to the explanation about the main setting in Town Hotel during this plot story. So let's go then. And if you haven't watched and or listened to this story, I highly recommend you to do that before listening, or otherwise, yeah, you can spoil it for yourself. All right, there we go. Um, the 15th Doctor travels throughout various eras and encountering the people there. An elderly couple during World War II, Sylvia Trench on the Orient Express in 96 to Italy, and Edmund Hillary and his team on Mount Everest in 1953. Each time he holds out to them an offering, a ham and a cheese toasty. Delicious. And a pumpkin latte, but departs when they seem confused. So, meanwhile, in London, in 2024, a woman named Joy Almondo arrives at the Sandringham Hotel, where she asks the hotel's proprietor, Anita Ben, for a single room for the week. Once in the room, she notes an unusual locked door, but dismisses it as being something found in every hotel room. She wishes herself a Merry Christmas, but suddenly a Silurian with a briefcase attached to his arm emerges from the door. She threatens him with a handheld vacuum cleaner, and he raises his hands. Very. How do we do? Yeah. The script writer was very creative. So okay. Anyway, the doctor arrives, making the same offer he made to the others. Seeing Joy, He grins. So, um, on Christmas in London in 4202, or 42 2, otherwise, the 15th Doctor arrives inside the Time Hotel via his TARDIS. He emerges, yawning widely, wearing a bedrobe and carrying two mugs, and it takes them to taps to fill them with milk. He observes a man with a briefcase chained to his arm approaching the desk and asking the receptionist for a room on the third floor. He's approached by a hotel employee, Trev Simpkins, who informs him that refreshments are for hotel guests only, asking him if he is a guest. The doctor admits that he isn't telling Trev that he only needed some milk, that he has an algorithm which hones in on fresh milk. Trev looks incredulous, asking if the TARDIS is a toilet. When the doctor seems offended, he points out that he has a newspaper. The doctor, however, notes that he also has a coffee, asking who will take that to the loo. So, the Time Hotel. I already mentioned the Time Hotel. Needs some explanation before going further into the plot. Um, so, the Time Hotel was a hotel that offered its guests the opportunity to travel to any year of the Earth's history. Guests could travel from the hotel, which was located in London, around the year 4202, via special doorways which led to different points in time and different places on Earth. It is because of this that hotels in general have an extra door, which nobody really knows where it leads to. Oh, by the way, I repeat many things, some things in this live stream, but it is for the explanation and to point out some things that really is important. So you maybe will hear some things. Hey, I mentioned already previous in this live stream earlier in this live stream. But yeah, repeat is always good to repeat some things because it's good to explain some things and to stress out some things, so to point out some things and really underline some things and see the red thread in things, the red line. So okay, some history. In From the Time Hotel. So in 4202, the Time Hotel offered visits to the OK Corral. Hey, we know that from the Third Doctor. Ah, Pompey. And that's also and also with the 11th the 10th Doctor. Giza, Mesopotamia, the Stone Age, also the Third Doctor. Pre-colonial Mexico, the signing of the Magna Carta visa, the Orient Express, also that's with the 12th Doctor, and the Manchester in 1941, Mount Everest base camp in 1953, and trips on nostalgia tour buses. So there's time until you can go travel to time in to different places and different times. So they even offered specials such as presidential assassinations and Christmas everywhere at once. As the reference to, by the way, to the TV story Joy to the World, to this story. Yes, around the same time, Villengard attempted to use the hotel's time doors as a means to test a starseed, with a briefcase holding the starseed being first latched onto a guest before it would jump higher up the staff ranks until it reached the manager, which would it give it access to the top floors as far back as possible. So the hosts were then killed and their consciousness were uploaded into the starseed's interface. Briefcase was eaten by a dinosaur and traveled from host to host for millions of years until it reached Bethlehem 1 BC, but had grown beyond its programming by then, and its assistance by the Doctor and Joy Amando was able to take off into the sky, saving the Earth. So this is in story. The whole thing in this story. By the way, a red line. Um, some features. The time hotel does consider time casualty, blocking out rooms if it is occupied by people native to the time period doors lead to. And since the rooms were physically linked, no changes to the timeline or paradoxes could happen, with the exception of bootstrap paradoxes. That's the case with this story. For example, there was one instance where the 15th Doctor was able to travel from a room in 2025 to one in 2024 and encountered an earlier version of himself. The Doctor also speculates that it's because of this hotel that there was no room at the inn for Mary and Joseph during the Nativity. The main column of the hotel went up several floors, with each higher floor going further back into Earth's history. The Time Hotel also featured a clothes store called Mr. Ben's Any Era Clothes, as well as a bar called the Tembles. The hotel kitchens were also 30 minutes into the future, so guests could have their meal arrive as soon as it's been ordered to save time, although some of their meals are said to be microwaved. Among the staff were not only people from 4202, but those through different time periods, who were readily accepted by those who worked there, such as Melnek, a Silurian from pre-human history, who went on to become the manager of the hotel, and Anita Ben, who was an employee of the Sandringham Hotel in London during the 2020s, and was hired at the doctor's recommendation. So also all these things we see in this story. So this is some background story, some main info about the Time Hotel. I will, of course, I will repeat some things about this, but it is good to have the info, all the info about the Time Hotel, and I will mention some things from this story, this explanation about the hotel during this live stream. But it is good for now to have all the information about the Time Hotel to see the context of where the main setting of this story is. So let's go back to the story now. Um, so Trev notes the fact that the Doctor has two mugs. He asks if there is something else in the TARDIS, and he calls it habit. That he never gets used to them leaving. He's always used to have a companion with him. So he hands Trev one of the mugs, telling him to keep it, that it's bigger on the inside. Of course, he enters the TARDIS and changes out of the bedrobe into a coat, asking himself why he did that. He then gets a reaction from his sonic screwdriver, asking himself what it was that he saw. He exits the TARDIS again, observing the man with the briefcase on his arm with suspicion. He is again approached by Trev, who is confused by the presence of the TARDIS. So he holds out his psychic paper, telling Trev that he is Special Agent Clint Rock, sent by the head office. The Doctor tells Trev that he's working for him now. Take him for a stroll. He asks him what he thinks about the man with the briefcase, but he seems confused, noting that he's not doing anything. And he keeps doing it, points out the Doctor. He knows that the man has not looked up once, despite the amazing sights of the hotel. He observes as the receptionist informs the man with the briefcase that they can't make the room he wants available until the contemporaneous guests have vacated. Already mentioned in the explanation about the Town Hotel. So suggests he that use the services of the bar the Tembles in the meantime. Trev asks if they aren't going to follow him, but the doctor tells him he hates following people. He studies a brochure and the people around him, asking thus what a time hotel means, if it's all of human history as mini breaks. Trev points out that he should know this if he is from the head office, but he replies that he likes to go into investigations with his mind blank. Trev asks if he should do this too, but the doctor comments wryly it may not be necessary in his case. The doctor approaches the receptionist at the desk, asking for a room service menu. As he and Trev wait, he tells Trev that the existence of Time Hotel solves the biggest mystery, why there's always a mysterious door in your hotel room that's locked. He asks if this is his Christmas, and Trev tells him that it is, that they're doing a special, quote, Christmas everywhere all at once, end quote. The doctor gets his menu and orders from it a ham and cheese toastie and a pumpkin latte, then is surprised when a server brings it to him almost immediately. That's some service. So Trev explains that their kitchens are 30 minutes into the future. Oh, of course. So though the doctor complains that the toastie is nevertheless microwaved. Hmm. Oh, wait a minute. The Trev tells him that he cannot expect miracles. The doctor tells him he's going undercover, asking if he has a radio. Trev tells him that he has an implanted psychic graft, and the doctor tells him to just use the code name the doctor if he needs him. Trev promises him that he won't let him down. I won't let you down again. PhD. Okay. The man with the briefcase takes the suggestion of the receptionist and enters the bar, the Temples. He approaches the barman. His eyes blink in a manner that forms slits, and he states that the star seed will bloom and the flesh will rise. The barman is confused and he holds out the case, asking the barman to put it behind the bar. When, however, the barman reaches for it, it unchains itself from the man and attaches to him instead. An automated voice states that the access is upgrading and the man comes over confused and disorientated. He asks the barman what he's to do now, and the barman blinks in the same manner that he did. He tells him to make himself comfortable, that he'll be dead quite shortly. He repeats his statement that the star seed will bloom and the flesh will rise. He then goes to Trev, who's waiting outside the temples, asking him to give him a hand. That somebody left this case. Once Trev is inside, however, he transfers the briefcase to him. Trev then watches in horror as the man who originally had the briefcase disintegrates before his eyes, followed by the barman. But I was on a mission, he laments. The doctor tries one of the doors at the Time Hotel, only to be informed that it is not available due to the guest local to the time period still being in residence. He uses his sonic screwdriver and overrides this, thus beginning his journey of offering the ham and cheese toastie and pumpkin latte to people from various time periods. Back in the Time Hotel, Trev approaches the main desk where the Silurian Melnek is working as a manager. He declares that the star seed will bloom and the flesh will rise, asking if he has priority access to all of the hotel's time portals. Melnek agrees that he, of course, does, as he is the manager and the briefcase unfastens from Trev. As the doctor continues trying various time portals, he notices Melnek with the briefcase. He comes Trev. Oh dear, I went and let him down. Comments Trev, disintegrating like the others. Doctor then enters the portal that Melnek did, discovering him with Joy Amendo. The doctor asks Joy for her name, and she introduces herself, starting to ask for an explanation when Anita Bean unexpectedly enters the room. Joy asks why there's a lizard man in her room, and Anita apologizes, telling her it's never happened before. The doctor, meanwhile, ignores her, questioning Melnick about the contents of the case. Melnick, however, refuses to answer. instead telling the doctor that he could take it, and then he will know. The doctor asks what happens afterwards, and Melnick tells him to take it, and then he will know. An annoyed Joy points out that it's her room, again asking for an explanation. The doctor, however, questions Melnick, asking him why he has the case when he saw someone else with it. That the one who had it before was a guest and he's a manager. Melnick again tells him to take the case, but Joy, aggravated by the continued lack of explanations, grabs it instead. It immediately chains itself to her. The doctor examining it with his sonic screwdriver. Nita comes back in, saying that she has Joy's towel sorted, and Joy tells her that the star seed will bloom and the flesh will rise. Melnick asks what he is to do now, and Joy, like the barman before, tells him that he will shortly die. She settles him down on the hotel bed, and the doctor asks what she means by that. He pleads with Melnick to focus, telling him he's not having him dying, that he is a Silurian and they're the proudest race that he knows. He asks him for his story, how it was that he came to be manager of the Time Hotel. Melnick tells him that he was lost in the caves, that he found a door, that they were so kind to him, and the doctor tells him to stay alive for them, but he disintegrates just like the others. Oh, oh, oh. Joy, in a monotone, calls it sad, and the doctor warns her that what happened to Melnick will happen to her. She repeats that the star seed will bloom and the flesh will rise. But he tells her that it's not her speaking, that she's being mansplained by a briefcase. She shoots back that she thought she was being mansplained by him. He asks if he even knows what a star seed is, and she tells him that she does. Asking if he does, he admits that he doesn't, saying they're going to find out and, over protests, open the briefcase. This reveals inside a bright glowing orb, but also triggers an automated message stating that the briefcase must be closed within 20 seconds or the current holder will be disintegrated. Joy asks the doctor to close the case, and he tells her that he is thinking that he is a visual person. She points out that it will disintegrate her, and he says it's good that she cares about dying again. He comments that he is missing something obvious. Joy forcing the case closed just before the countdown reaches zero. This, however, prompts the appearance of a control panel and another announcement. This time stating that a four-digit code must be entered within 15 seconds, or Joy will be disintegrated. Doctor admits that he didn't see this coming, and Joy asks if he knows the code. He admits he doesn't, asking if she does. He says it's 10,000 possibilities and that he could figure it out if he had the time. If he had time. So he continues that he can't use the TARDIS again in the time hotel, that it would re-engage the causal nexus. He finishes his thought, shouting come in, and another version of himself appears, proving the code 7214. He enters it, disarming briefcase. Time out. What is a causal nexus? So, some explanation. Uh, a causal nexus. There's also a reference to a TV story Logopolis. It's a fourth Doctor story with Tom Baker. So a causal nexus is also called a spatio-temporal causal nexus point in audio, the mutant phase. Time-space nexus, temporal nexus point, causal nexus point, or just nexus was a place in space and time that was malleable. We see that in Prose and Remnants of the Daleks, points in the space-time continuum that were very rare and hard to access. The Prose invasion of the cat people. So where time would normally be able to resist or absorb minor changes, The third Doctor, John Pertwee, noted that some locations, space and time were temporal probability nexuses where multiple strands of causality were exposed and weak, and the smallest alteration could produce aberrant loops of existence or even new alternate timelines. It's also linked to Pro's The Eye of the Giants. So, as related to cause and effect and causality, nexus points often served as areas for potential anomalies, since the fourth Doctor Tom Baker stated that every point in time has its alternative, as seen in the TV story Pyramids of Mars, for example. So, causal nexuses existed within time fissures, which were created all the time. Though not visible, they could be sensed by time sensitives, and larger events could create fissures where time tracks diverge from the nexus point, allowing for travel to parallel universes. Um, so Dr. Stardust became caught in a spatio-temporal causal nexus point when it hit up a bump in the time track, so generated by the Daleks of an alternate timeline, using a time corridor to pull the Fifth Doctor, um, Peter Davison, into their future. We see that also in audio muted phase. The cause nexus divided when Nissa changed history as part of the plan arranged by the Doctor's first TARDIS, causing the universe to exist in two quantum states and releasing benefic energy. And when the time paradox was corrected with another paradox, the Fifth Doctor became the causal nexus as the paradox resulted from knowledge he would claim not to know in his personal future. We see it in audio Prisoners of Fate. So there's are more examples of this causal nexus. Um, on screen, we can see before, for example, Rose Tyler, having traveled to Donna's world, refused to reveal her name, and she stated that the one word in the wrong place can change an entire causal nexus. We see that in his TV story Turn Left. That's in the during the Tenant era, Ten Doctor. And so, also another thing is, for example, when asked why he couldn't just take the TARDIS back to previous day, the then Doctor recited as if by rote, "I can't go back in my own timeline. I have to stay relative to the Master within the causal nexus." So he earlier called the same set of events convergence in TV story The End of Time. So all this is an explanation. Um, Oh, another example to complete the whole explanation for this causal nexus is that while discussing changing her personal past, older Amy Pond kept a list comprised of destiny and causal causality with a nexus of the time itself, a structure of causal nexus points that described or defined time. However, at the time she was referencing changing her own recent personal history from within a stable temporal anomaly that was generated artificially. And that's in the TV story The Girl Who Waited in the Matt Smith era. So now we come to the back to the story of the Door of the World. I mentioned this causal nexus. So this, to repeat, the 15th Doctor was unable to use the TARDIS to twice travel to the same point in time hotel, as it would re-engage the causal nexus. He was thus forced to live out an entire year in the Central Hotel in order to complete a bootstrap paradox to provide himself with a code to disarm the briefcase containing the starseed. So the circle, that's the whole thing about the causal nexus. An explanation about that. We go further with the story, with the plot of the story, Joe to the World. So Joe asks how there can be two of them, and the one who enters the code tells her that there aren't, that the other is the future after he gets the code. The other tells her that the other is, in fact, the past, that the future is this way taking her arm and leading her away. The original asks how this all works, how he gets to be him. The long way around. He tells him, hey, we heard that before, the long way around. So, how he gets to him and the long way around, he tells him, saying that he'll find out. So he refuses to give any more answers, and the original protests that this is why nobody likes him, that he has to be mysterious all the time, and it's why everyone leaves him. The other tells him that he must stay there and complete the loop, and that it's the only way to get the code. He closed the door, and the original shouts after him, asking if he knows how alone he is, that he lives in a great big spaceship with no chairs. So this is the reason that all this casual nexus. So he must live out 1 year in his timeline. The doctor in this hotel with Anita Ben. So the doctor goes to Anita Ben and asking her if he can book a room for an entire year. Yeah, there's no other way to live out 1 year because of the nexus. He then notes the fact that he'll need money, asking if there's anything that she needs doing around this place. Thus, he begins work for the hotel. He works as a waiter, using his psychic paper to anticipate customer orders before they even make them. He uses his sonic screwdriver to automate a mop while he reads a newspaper. On New Year's Day, he and Anita discuss the meaning of Old Lang Syne. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. So one verse. There's more, but for that now is good. So that's all they shine. So she notes that he's resolutely not phoning someone, which she admits to be Ruby Sunday. Yeah, Ruby Sunday, saying he has to let her get on with her life. He fixes the hotel's microwave oven, though she notes that it's bigger on the inside now. And when he fixes her sat nav, she complains it's not taking her where she wants to go, only for him to say that it now takes her where she needs to go. I still sit with a song in my head, Old and Shine. I was for a period in my life. I was by the Boy Scouts, and we sang that song every at the end of every meeting. So I know the song completely. So I take some more. Um, the Doctor and Anita grow quite close. You seen it in the story. She observes him with the various models of police boxes, which he tells her he purchased online. The two of them begin a regular tradition, chair night, sharing meals together and playing games such as Twister or Cluedo. Do you know what Twister Cluedo is, by the way? Who knows that? I played Twister and Cluedo in the past. Twister is also funny with you could just put your hands and your feet on some circles, painted circles, red and green, red, yellow. And Cluedo is some detective game. I have played that on board, but also online. You can play Cluedo. By the way, On bonfire night, they watch fireworks together. The doctor commenting that Guy Fawkes would have loved it. Anita, however, does not seem to understand the reference. The doctor explains that he tried to blow up Parliament. She asks if he isn't his boyfriend, and he tells her that he doesn't have one. On Christmas Eve, she discovers him leaving her a small wrapped gift and asks if he isn't going to be there for Christmas. If he's sneaking off without saying goodbye, and he claims he's only going to be off for a few days. But when she doesn't buy it, he tells her that he has a complicated life. Complicated life. That's an statement for the doctor. Complicated life. Yeah, yes. That he doesn't normally just live day to day. He tells her it was amazing living a whole year with her, and she admits that she always knew he would one day be going. Oh. She hugs him goodbye, telling him to never be alone at Christmas, that he doesn't need to be with her there. Always. The doctor returns to his other self, completing the paradox. So, that's solved. He explains to Joy that it's weird, that basically he got the code because he heard himself say it a year ago, that it's bootstrapping. He states that the code name from nowhere, but that the universe did too, and that nobody complains about that. Hmm. Ah, that's thing to think of, to yeah, to analyze this fact. But we go further. She asks if he just time traveled and told himself, but he says that there wasn't any time travel involved. The time zones of the hotel are physically linked, so it wasn't possible. The star seed? She asks, and he tells her he had a long time to think about it and that he's pretty sure he's figured it out. That he even knows why they need the time hotel. He tells her that by receiving the case, it reasserted control over her and she needs to fight it. Joy studies a door leading to the assassination of Julius Caesar, saying that it won't do. He realizes that she's scouting for the right time zone and she says they'll need the top floor. He asks what for, if she even understands what she's trying to accomplish. He tells her that he's worked out that the case contains a single atom in which a quantum reaction has begun, asking if she knows what it will lead to. She replies that a star seed will bloom, and he agrees that in theory a star will be born, but nobody has been able to test it because it would take too long. She comments that he likes to talk, and he continues that there's a corporation that wants a star for their own personal energy source, and they would need time. They are there in the time hotel. And we see later in this live stream what this corporation is called. As they board an elevator, the doctor tells Joy that he worked her out as well, having spent a year in her hotel room. He tells her that you can tell everything about a person from a hotel room they choose. That it's not a selfie that you posed for, but more like catching yourself in a mirror. He says that her room was the loneliest and saddest in the world, asking what kind of person would choose that. He asks if people laugh at her when she tells them her name, if her mother was having a laugh when she named her dead. She shouts at him to not talk about her mother, that she's dead, that she died in hospital during the COVID-19 pandemic, and that she couldn't even visit her and had to talk to her on an iPad because of the rules. The doctor tells her that he is sure she is good at obeying the rules, and she shouts at him not to say that. She enters her room, him continuing to never mind her poor mother so long as she obeys the rules. She shoves him, shouting that her mother died on Christmas Day alone because of the rules. She cries that she let her mother die alone and therefore she can never be home or with anyone on Christmas Day. She sobs that she even can't even ever change this hugging him. He comments that mothers never stop saving us when they're going, pointing out that the briefcase is no longer attached to her. Um, she asks him why he did that, and he apologizes, explaining that he had to make her angry to wake her up, that it is like a post-hypnotic suggestion. She asks if it had to be anger, and he tells her that would her it definitely did, that she has rage boiling away just beneath the surface. She thanks him, not very enthusiastically. He tells her that she's thinking that it may not have been a good way to save her life, but there's no bad way. They hug again, and she says that it was beautiful, that she was a star. He tells her that it's the conditioning talking, that he is not the bad guy. He suggests that they meet the bad guys, telling her that there's PR wherever there's a corporation. He points to Sonic at the briefcase, revealing a spinning holographic logo reading a conflict solutions spinning around a V. He tells her that it's villain guards, very old enemies of his, weapons manufacturers. She asks why they would want to make a star, and an automated voice comes from the briefcase, saying that a Q&A has been activated. It explains that they are engaged in the creation of a customizable energy source that is functionally infinite. So, pause for a moment. We do some explanation with Willengard because this is a main enemy of the Doctor. It's good to explain things about this enemy of the Doctor. So, what is Willengard? Willengard is a planet. Is a location. Its location is in the seven galaxies. Its moon is called Villengarde's moon. This Villengarde is first mentioned in the Doctor Dances. Dat is a ninth Doctor story um, with Christopher Eccleston. And the first appearance, so the first mention is in Doctor Dances, and the first appearance is Twice Upon a Time. And that is Twice Upon a Time is in the Christmas special of 2017 with the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi, and the third Doctor. Um, so um, So Villengard was a planet located at the center of the universe. Its weapons factories were known as the Nightmare of the Seven Galaxies. You see it linked to the TV story Twice Upon a Time. The 12th Doctor Peter Capaldi and the first Doctor David Bradley. Villengard had a moon in its orbit, though by the time the first and 12th Doctors alongside Archibald Hamish Ledbert Stewart, that's a forefather of uh, Brigadier Alistair Ledbury Stewart, of we all know. And the glass avatar of Bill Potts visited, it has been partially destroyed. Both Jack Harkness in the fifth story Doctor Dances and River Song had weapons from Villengard. And it's in a link to audio, an unearthly woman. Um, so sonic blasters were produced on Villengard in a 50 51st century in the also TV story Dr. Dances. Um, Eventually, Villengard ruled warfare throughout the galaxy with its all-powerful algorithm determining who lived and who died. So Villengard provided the weaponry to the clerics, members of the church, who its algorithm tricked into fighting over a barren planet. Villengard's deadly ambulances maintained the casualty rate in the profitable zone. In the end, the Villengard mainframe was conquered by the AI reconstruction of John Francis Vader on the orders of the 15th Doctor to save Vader's daughter Splice. We see that in the 15th Doctor story Boom in the season 1 or slash series 14. Mm, okay. In the 43rd century, the star seed was sent from Villengard to the Time Hotel in London, Earth, where it was intended to be sent back in time in order to hatch to a full-size star. And their plan was thwarted by the 15th Doctor and Joy Armando. Well, Joy would eventually rise as new forming star. By this point, it was outside Villengard's control. So, is this in the story? In the last months of the late Great Time War, the War Doctor enlisted the help of Dorian Maldovar to help him destroy the 13 weapons factories of the Villengard before the Dalek fleet arrived to take control of them. Using a molecular fruit bomb, the Doctor transformed the factories into palm trees, creating a banana grove. The Ninth Doctor used this event as justification for why Jack Harkness should carry a banana instead of a sonic blaster, also a reference to V story The Doctor Dances. So eventually, the good Dalek Rusty came to the ruins of Villengard's weapons factories, where he set himself up inside a tower to fight off other Daleks seen to destroy him. The ruins became infested with Khalat mutants without their casings. The 12th Doctor visited Rusty to access the pathway and learn the identity of the testimony's class avatar. And we see that in the TV story twice upon a time. So the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, had a conversation with the moment in Villengard's banana groves. That's in the prose story day of the Doctor. So that's things about Villengard. And actually, I have to already have revealed about the whole thing with Joy, but that's not doesn't matter. But that's because of the context and explanation. But we go further to the plot. I have already and mentioned and repeated and again is that I will sometimes repeat some things, but that's for explanation and good to place it all in context. So this all things about Villengard. Uh, uh, yeah, perfect. So the doctor calls it definitely insane, and Joy tells him that she knows the voice. A hologram of Melnick appears, telling them that it is his consciousness has been uploaded into the briefcase as a communication interface. The Doctor protests that the starseed were to explode anywhere on Earth. It would burn every living thing. He tells the Melnick hologram to tell that to its users, to which it replies that Villengard respects the collateral sacrifice. The Doctor tells it that it has it wrong, that they don't have enough to grow a star. Um, uh, as Joy looks increasingly troubled, a thudding noise in the background, the Doctor continues that human history is only a few thousand years long, that they need way longer. Stuff starts shaking around them, and he continues that they would need to check into the time hotel about 65 million years ago. Suddenly, a dinosaur appears and gobbles the case, roaring at them. Its eye blink like slits, and the doctor curses. As their bungalow collapses, they fall down towards the dinosaur's mouth, but manage to stop themselves at the last second. They flee back into the time hotel, and the doctor calling it suboptimal, and Joy pointing out that dinosaurs were about 65 million years ago. She says that it means about now, or time, the whole world is going to burn. The doctor points out that this wouldn't be the part of, of the plan, that Villengard would have to have put in a way to retrieve the case before this could happen. He realizes that they would have had sent to a signal, a connection that broke when he severed her link to the briefcase. He tells her that he's screwed up and a buzzing noise begins. She asks what it is, that his thing is buzzing, and he finds that it's a solid screwdriver. She grabs it, and a hologram of Trev Simpkins appears, telling the doctor that he's reporting for duty. He tells him that his mission is proceeding as planned, has exceeded his expectations, even though he's dead. He explains that he is part of the star, that he too is inside the communication interface. He says that the psychic craft has been duplicated virtually, allowing their communication, that he had several million years to work it out. He tells him that they have to get the star seed off world. It's about to detonate. Doctor asks why he would be helping him if he's part of Fillingard now, but he tells him that he told before he would not let him down. Doctor replies that he loves him, that he really, physically loves him. The doctor asks Trev to tell him just where and when he is. He asks him to run any sensor data he can, and Trev promises to do so, but also tells him that they're in room 48 if it helps. The doctor tells him it helps a lot, and he enjoyed takeoff, heading through one of the Time Hotel's portals. They locate Trev inside an ancient monument, the doctor explaining that eventually the dinosaur would have either thrown up the case or deposited it. The doctor notes that it's getting warm, asking Trev how long they have until detonation. He replies it's about 4.5 millennia. The doctor suggests to rerun the numbers again, and Trev comes back that it's actually 4.5 minutes. The doctor shouts thanks for that, shutting off the hologram, and Joy asks just what he's going to do. He tells her he's going to throw it into space using a phone box. He tells her that he needs a rope, asking where it was that he saw that. He tells Joy to wait, taking off, saying that he's very good with rope. He returns to Mount Everest, taking the equipment of the mountain climbers, and when challenged as to why, tells them that because it was there, and he rigs the rope through the Orange Express, tethering it through there and the time hotel back to the time period with a briefcase, shattering the artifact holding the briefcase in place. Joy stares at the briefcase as it opens, revealing the starseed. She tells it not to worry, that it's okay. She tells it that she wants it to live. Back on the Orient Express, the doctor again approaches Sylvia Trench, stepping on a ladder she had dropped. He scans it, saying that she'd better off without him, that his sentence structure is appalling. She protests that she wrote the letter, and he backpedals, calling it a great letter and saying she should send it to him. She clarifies that the recipient is female, and he says that he's glad he could help. Leaving. He re-enters the town hotel, asking Trev just how long they have, and Trev apologizes, telling him it's about to detonate. He returns to the time period with the briefcase, only to find it empty. He shouts for joy and climbs some stairs, only to find her outside, glowing. She turns to him, the starseed pulsing inside her. She tells him that she was hoping you would come back to say goodbye. She tells him that the starseed is inside her now, that it's in all of them. A series of images of the original man with the briefcase, the barman, and Trev appear. Trev giving a double thumbs up and telling the doctor that the mission is complete. Finally, Melnick appears. Joy tells the doctor that the starseed will bloom, but that he needs not to worry, that they will be far away in the sky. He shakes his head, but she tells him she thinks she's saving the world. He protests that he's supposed to be saving her, that he won't allow Villengard to do this to them. But she tells him that Villengard are nothing, that they're far beyond them. The doctor pleads with her that she doesn't understand, that she'll burn and die. She tells him not to be silly, that she's not dying, only chasing and saving something beautiful. She tells him that she will shine everywhere and forever, even on him. She tells him that he needs to change too. Oh, she tells him that he needs to change too, that everything he said about her hotel room was right, but that he stayed in for a year. He says it wasn't so bad, but it had nice chairs. She tells him he needs to find a friend, that should go and do it now, that she'll be watching. She rises into the sky, telling the doctor that her mother was right, that she's Joy, and she will see her again, and she will be with her. She departs in a burst of energy, becoming a star in the sky. The elderly couple during World War II heard an all-clear siren, the man Basil staring at the star and telling his wife Hilda that there's hope, that they have to cling on to that. On the Orient Express, Sylvia tears up her letter and stares out at the star as it begins snowing. Dancing Norgay asks Edmund Hillary if he thinks the weather will hold, and he tells him that it of course will, that it's in the stars. Ruby Sunday stares at the star from a window. She takes call from her birth mother, Louise Miller. At the Sandringham Hotel, Anita Ben is busy vacuuming. She stares at one of the model police boxes the doctors give to her. As she takes in her hand, she looks at out at London, smiling at the star. A door opens in the Time Hotel. Receptionist approaches her, telling her that she becomes highly recommended by an old friend. She hands her an envelope, asking her if she would be interested in working at the Time Hotel. Anita opens the envelope, the doctor's Christmas card, bearing the message, "For Old Lang Syne." She smiles at the receptionist. In London 2020, in Royal Hope Hospital, Joy's mother watches on her iPad as Joy tells her that she'll see her soon, just as soon as the nonsense is over. He tells her to be brave, wishing her a Merry Christmas. She bids her goodbye. The star shines outside the hospital room window. It flares brightly, and mother, Joy's mother glows with energy. Joy, she realizes, her energy flowing into the star. The doctor smiles at the star. Of course, he realizes. Joy, of course you are. You are joy. Joy to the world. Joy to the world. He shouts, giving a salute to the Star of Bethlehem. The year one. And this, my friends, is the end of this story, Christmas special called Joy to the World. And we'll mention some cast members. The Doctor is played by Nsuti Gatwa. Jorm Amando is played by Nicola Coughlin. Nita Ben is played by Steph Wally. Celebrity Manager is played, Melnick is played by Jonathan Aris. And of course, Ruby Sunday, played by Millie Gibson at the end. There are also other actors, actresses, but that's some world building. The Doctor visits the Queen's Hotel in Manchester during 1940, where a cathedral was hit by a bomb. Second thing in world building is that Sylvia is reading Murder on Orient Express while traveling on the Orient Express. And Orient Express, by the way, also in the 12th Doctor story. Third thing is that the Doctor visits Mount Everest in 1953 on the day the top of the mountain was first reached by Edmund Hillary and his team. Fourth thing is world building is that TARDIS has a NEFCOM algorithm that homes in on fresh milk whenever it has run out. The Doctor, however, realized he could just install a fridge to prevent constantly needing to find milk. Okay, so fifth thing is that the Doctor notices portals to the Stone Age submarine, Mesopotamia, Pisa, and leaflet also mentions ancient Rome and the fall of Troy. Sixth thing is that Trev has a psychic raft. Seventh thing is that a briefcase is in fact the starseed containment unit. It has a quantum sealed container with a single atom. Another thing is that using TARDIS in the time hotel for the second time would re-engage the causal nexus. I already explained earlier this live stream. At Anita's hotel in 2024, the Doctor reads a newspaper article about a clockwork droid. The other thing is that the Doctor tells Anita about the weeping angels. Anita and the Doctor play various games, including Snakes and Ladders and Twister. The Doctor returns to the Time Hotel on Christmas Day 2025 via portal in the Exeter Hotel, New York City. Another thing in world building is that while choosing the right time zone, Joe rejects the assassinations of Julius Caesar. Another thing is that Joy lost her mother on Christmas Day 2020 during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic and its restriction rules. Another thing is that the Doctor compared the effect of the briefcase to the post-hypnotic suggestion. Another thing in building is that Melnick and Trev consciousnesses have been uploaded to the Guard communication interface. And the last thing in world building is that Joy believes the Doctor needs to change and find himself a friend. So, some interesting notes about the story. Like many of Stephen Moffat's previous Christmas specials, the title Joy to the World comes from another piece pre-existing Christmas media. This time it's from a song. Joy to the world. Okay, the Time Hotel features a clothes store called Mr. Ben's Any Era Clothes, a reference to the character of Mr. Ben, who would go on adventures via magic door in a costume shop. In the end credits, Ben is also revealed to be Anita's last name. Third thing is that the name of the bar in a Time Hotel is The Tambles, a reference to the book The Time Traveler's Wife. 12th Doctor also owns a copy of this book and stores it on the TARDIS bookshelves in the TV story Dark Water. Fourth note is that the hotel manager says the Doctor must pay for his food on a blue diamond on a tablet. This is reference to the current Doctor Who logo. A fifth thing is that the Kennedy assassination is possible destination at the Time Hotel. In real life, the event occurred the day before the first. The event occurred the day before the very first Doctor Who episode aired on November 22, 1963. In the end credits, the name of the passenger on the Orient Express is revealed to be Sylvia Trench, same name as the James Bond side character in the 1962 movie Doctor No, with Stephen Moffat confirming his intent was for her to be the same character in a minor crossover appearance. So, already mentioned and singing it for a thing is the Old Lang Syne. Old Lang Syne is both a live poem and a song by Scottish poet Robert Burns. And last note is that on BBC iPlayer this episode is mistakenly listed under Series 14 season one, but it is all is of course it is series 15 slash season two. Okay, continuity because Doctor Who stories are to some extent are influenced by another story, referencing to past story or a future story, and yeah, the context very important. So continuity. So the doctor Tifley traveled to the time hotel so he could restock on milk. Ninth Doctor previously told Rose Tyler that the milk in the TARDIS went bad rather quickly, necessitating constant restocking. We see in this TV story The Empty Child. Second thing, in the Time and Wyman edition held by the Doctor mentions an empty duck pond and Prisoner Zero. That is in the story 11th Hour with 11th Doctor Matt Smith. And as an advertisement for the Torology Transport Network. There's a reference to the TV story The Power of the Doctor. That is with the 13th Doctor Jodie Whittaker. It uses a dating system mentioned by the ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, when he took Rose Tyler to Platform 1 in TV story The End of the World. The Time Hotel offers visits to the OK Corral. That's a reference linked to the TV story The Gunfighters with the first Doctor William Hartnell. Pompeii, the fires of Pompeii, that's with 10th Doctor David Tennant. Giza, Pyramids of Mars. Um, that's with 4th Doctor Tom Baker. Also with Sarah Jane Smith and Sutek. And also, there's also Time Hotel offers also visits to Mesopotamia. That's also linked to the TV story Resolution um, with the 13th Doctor um, Jodie Whittaker. Um, there is also possible to visit the Stone Age. That's of course the first Doctor Who story, An Unearthly Child with William Hartnell. Pre-colonial Mexico, the Aztecs, also with Third Doctor William Hartnell. The signing of the Magna Carta, that's the King's Demons. That is with um, the Fifth Doctor Peter Davison. There's also Tegan, companions Tegan and Turlough. Um, and trips on there's also to visit trips on nostalgia tours buses. Is a TV story Delta and the Benemanis with the seventh Doctor Sylvester McCoy. So there's many visits possible. Okay, Corel, Pompeii, Giza, Mesopotamia, Stone Age, pre-colonial Mexico, Magna Carta, and trips on nostalgia tours buses. All a reference to our sort of stories with the Doctor. The Tenth Doctor on once claimed to have got the last room at the inn in Bethlehem, and we see that in the story Voyage of the Damned. And Voyage of the Damned is Christmas special of 2007 with the Tenth Doctor and Astrid Birth. The Doctor once again solves a problem via a bootstrap paradox, unknowing the code to close the briefcase because he was told it by future self. There's another, also a link to Time Crash as in Children in Need Special 2007, where the 10th Doctor meets the 5th Doctor. And there's also a reference to Time, the comic relief 2011 in episode 2 with the 11th Doctor. The future Doctor tells his past self he learned the code for the briefcase the long way round. There's a link to the Day of the Doctor. And the Day of the Doctor is the 50th anniversary special with 11th Doctor. And 11th Doctor meets the 10th Doctor and the War Doctor. There's also that the future Doctor tells his past self he learned the code from Beastcase long way around. Is also a long way around is a link to a reference to a link to Heaven Sent and Hell Bent with the 12th Doctor Peter Capaldi and Twice Upon a Time also with Peter Capaldi. So Doctor fixes the microwave in the Sandringham, but also adds dimensional transcendentalism to it. The 11th Doctor previously made a barn bigger on the inside on Transalore in Time of the Doctor. It's also special. Doctor reacts with fear when handed a plunger due to its resemblance to a Dalek manipulator arm. His previous regeneration inspired Davros to add the arm by showing him a plunger. Dat is een TV um, there's also a reference, a link to Destination Scarrow. That's a TV story that's is trailed in Neat Special 2023 with 14 Doctor. Other thing in continuity is that if a Doctor improves Anita's car, she mentions that her nerve system no longer takes her where she wants to go. Only for the Doctor to correct that it now takes her where she needs to be. And that is also there's a link to the story The Doctor's Wife. And that is the 11th Doctor story, Matt Smith. Another thing is that Anita believes the Doctor is married. There's a link to TV story Blink, that is with the 10th Doctor. Uh, David Tennant, A Christmas Carol with 11th Doctor Matt Smith. The Wedding of River Song, that is with the 12th Doctor Peter Capaldi. And The Day of the Doctor, already mentioned, 11th Doctor. And he meets, in this story, David Doctor, he meets the 10th and War Doctor. Wedding of River Song, the 11th Doctor, yeah. Okay. He confirms he doesn't have a boyfriend. And there's a link to TV story Rogue. That's in series 14, season 1 slash season. That's a series 14 slash season 1 with 15 Doctor. The Doctor keeps referring to gravity. The Doctor. And next thing is that the Doctor keeps referring to gravity as mevity. There's a link to TV story The Wild Blue Yonder. That's with the 14th Doctor David Tennant, and that's with his companion Donna Noble. And there's a link to the Church of Ruby Road already. Is the reference gravity as mevity. Church of Ruby Road is the Christmas special, first story of the 15th Doctor and Suti Katwa. Another thing is that Joy's mother was being treated at the Royal Hope Hospital, the same hospital where the doctor first met Martha Jones in the TV story Smith and Jones, with the 10th Doctor David Tennant. Ruby calls her mother, whom she was recently reunited with. There is a link to a TV story Empire of Death. That was in the previous series. And last thing is in the continuity is that the Doctor keeps models of his TARDIS in his room at the Sandringham, and Amy Pond did the same in her bedroom in her house in TV story The 11th Hour, the first story of the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith. And that, my friends and companions, is all I have to say about this story. So, last thing is you can contact me by sending a message in Discord. If you type, if you search for, if you search and type um, Enigmatic Joker, you will find me and you can send me a message in Discord. So for now, um, have a nice day, have a nice week, have a nice weekend. For now, goodbye, bye bye. See you next time. Bye bye.